Okay, we are now live on YouTube.
Okay, great. So thank you for coming. This is Community Board 10 Brooklyn's general meeting, January 25th, 2021. And we are conducting this via Zoom and live stream via YouTube. So I would like to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have the flag up on our shared screen. So I'd like to start with leading you in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to call for an adoption of the agenda.
Here, Joe.
Okay, Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, Daniel, thank you. And may I have an adoption of the minutes from the December 21st, 2020 board meeting?
So moved.
Oh, thank you, Dean. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Okay. And now I'd like to move on to the public session. I would really like to try to limit this to 10 minutes. We have a decent, pretty long meeting this evening. So first, to speak this evening would be Tori Kelly from Senator Andrew Gennardis's office. Tori?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, good.
Thanks for having me. Happy New Year's, everybody. I'd like to start off first with an announcement that Senator Gennardis is now a dad. He had his baby a few weeks ago, but more importantly, that means board member Diane is a grandmother. Congratulations. I'll start off, I'll be really quick. I'll give you a few legislative updates. The Senate is back in session. They passed a slew of very important pieces of legislation, a small business eviction and foreclosure moratorium, which establishes an Emergency Protect Our Small Business Act to protect small businesses from closing with COVID-related hardships. So they're banning evictions and foreclosures until May 1st of this year. The Senate also passed restriction on third-party delivery fees, creating a cap on what these DoorDash, Grubhubs can charge restaurants. They also did some election reform, continuing the sort of the habit that they've been doing, speeding up absentee ballot counting and permanently authorizing those ballot drop boxes, which we had in the last election. Locally, Senator Gennardis sent a letter to the mayor today, actually, regarding PSLA sports for schools, urging the mayor to release a plan to start these programs for at minimum the fall. He wants kids to be able to play and play safely, and for parents, most importantly, to plan ahead. And lastly, I'll say very quickly, there's a lot of questions about vaccines and vaccine distribution. We've been trying to connect people who are eligible and answer their questions. If you want to give us our office a call, 718-238-6044. We will add you to a waiting list. As we hear of opportunities, we try to connect you, just because we know people would like to get them and we'd like to help as much as we can. So give us a call and we can kind of keep in touch with anything we hear. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Tori. And now we'll hear from Councilman Justin Brannan.
Lori, I have a question for Tori.
Oh, who's that? Oh, sorry, Dean, go ahead.
Sorry. Hey, Tori, how are you? Happy New Year.
Good, how are you? Happy New Year.
Good. Is there anything in the pipeline financially for landlords who are going to or already have financial difficulty due to the lack of rents being paid? I'm sure there are a lot of small landlords that have mortgages that might be in dire straits. Anything on that front?
Yes, they similar to what they did with what I said, the small businesses. If you are a landlord that has a COVID-related hardship, you can file a hardship form at housing court and with your bank to prevent any foreclosures for a period of time.
But is there any financial help? I mean, that's saying maybe.
Oh, like them paying the rents? Yeah. So there's a small program. There's a small program to help people pay rent. So if they're a landlord that has people that aren't paying the rent if they have COVID hardships. There's a program that's been going on for a while. They actually, in the last stimulus package, they put in a ton more money. So we're trying to see how we can get access to that and kind of beef up the program that's existing, which is a small pot right now, but we're hoping to be able to funnel the last stimulus money to help more people.
I think Dean was asking about assistance for landlords who are not receiving rent.
Right. That's
Not- yeah.
no, that's to pay the rent, right? That's supposed to help people pay the rent so that they don't.
No, for the rents that landlords aren't receiving, financial assistance so they can cover their overhead. Taxes,
Right. Well,
mortgage
there's-
payments, yeah.
Right. There's the foreclosure hardship form that will stop that. But then also the best way to get these people is just to pay the rents that they're missing, right? That will help the people that have the landlords. They won't be missing any rents at that point if we're able to funnel more money to pay the rent so that they don't have, people withholding.
And is it the intention that the rents will be paid directly to the landlords on behalf of
Yes.
the tenant? Okay,
Yes.
Great, thank you.
thanks. I'm sorry, and I was just calling on Councilman Justin Brannan to speak. Are you there, Justin?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Councilman.
Cool. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody. This is the first meeting of the new year, which is crazy. So Happy New Year, everybody. Certainly don't have to tell you that 2020 was an unbelievably tough, challenging year for everyone. We all put our normal lives on hold and everyone really sacrificed so much. I'm not going to lie, when I decided to run for office, I never thought I would be governing during a global pandemic, but here we are. Being in office during COVID has really taught me a lot. I've seen very clearly how many of our neighbors are really just one paycheck away from losing their home. And I've seen how clearly and inextricably bound our health and safety is to one another. We're really all in this together, whether we like it or not. Since April, my staff, we've made thousands of calls, proactive calls to seniors just to check in with folks. Obviously, always trying to get PPE to frontline workers and to anyone that needs it, really. And that continues. Now, obviously, our main focus is vaccinations. And I think now you're starting to see it. I think finally the other levels of government are being more honest with people, but we don't have the vaccines we need just yet. We desperately need to get to a place where vaccine eligibility equals vaccine availability. And right now we are just not there. The problem is that we have millions of people who are eligible for a vaccine, and we have nowhere near enough vaccines for everyone. So every day we're pushing and doing everything we can on the local level to get that fixed. We certainly heard from a lot of folks who would like to see more vaccine locations locally. We have locations ready to go. It's sort of a chicken and the egg scenario right now where if we had more vaccines, we'd have more locations. So that's really what we're dealing with right now. But things are going to get better. And I think once we have what we need from Washington, the city is ready to go and can vaccinate 500,000 people a week if we can just get the vaccines that we need. So we've been dealing with that basically 24/7. Some good news locally, investments in parks continue. The Bensonhurst playground is finally done. It's just outside of CB10. This is in addition to about over $20 million that we've allocated to our local parks and playgrounds since I got elected. Up next, we're going to do JJ Carty Playground, Owl's Head, the basketball courts at Owl's Head as well, and Vinland Playground, which is the playground I grew up in. And I think the last time it was renovated was when I was a kid. So we're doing everything we can. And also, obviously, always keeping in touch and helping our small businesses navigate the constantly changing guidance from the state, which is also a huge issue. But I'm just so honored to serve and so honored to really have got my start at Community Board 10 and working so closely with you guys and constantly checking in with you guys to know what we really need My office is here. I don't sleep very much, and that's okay. Thank you so much, and I'll take any questions if you have, but you know where to find me. Thank you, guys. Happy New Year.
I have a question. No, a comment. Hi, sorry.
Go easy on me, Doris. Come on.
Okay, I want to thank you. You were on our zoning and land use committee meeting last Thursday about the zoning text amendment.
Yep.
And I logged on to the scoping meeting on Friday, and there were probably 12 elected officials who logged on and spoke, and you were one of them. You were probably one of 8 or 9 in the council, and I thank you for your support.
Yes, of course. So what Doris is talking about is right now in the council, we are debating basically a special text amendment in the zoning code so that even if an area is allowed as of right to build a hotel, that they wouldn't be able to do that before coming to the community, which we've seen here the past couple of times when we've seen plans for a hotel where the developer was allowed by law to build a hotel. It's usually the last thing that anyone wants, especially when we have such a dire need for affordable housing, which is what we dealt with on 94th Street. Because the developer was allowed to build a hotel, the only way we could get him to build housing was to do a rezoning, which is very arduous and it's just a pain, really. So the special text amendment would make it that even if a developer was allowed to build a hotel as of right, they would still have to come to the community and get input into if that's what the community actually wanted, which is what we're trying to do. And certainly we know that very well here with the Prince Hotel and the issues we've had there. And also it's so rare that we have a lot that can be developed in this neighborhood. You know, I hear from people all the time about what this neighborhood, this district needs. I've never heard someone say what we need is another hotel. So this would really arm us with the law to prevent a hotel from being built if that's we decided we didn't want that. So I think it'll be a very helpful thing for the entire city.
Thank you. And that'll be part of my report.
Right on.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thanks. And now we have Marcella Maintain as a member of the City Council. Let's see.
Assembly.
I'm sorry, Assembly.
Oh, I don't see her on, so you can move forward.
All right, we'll move forward if we circle back, we'll see. Okay, and we have Jay Goldfinger from Assemblymember Matil Frontis's office.
Hi, thank you. Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
I won't repeat the remarks of Tori Kelly and Councilman Brannan. Just appreciate the effort, and we're pushing for more vaccine sites, and we're assisting people in trying to get appointments. It's been an ordeal, as you know. And you can contact our office as well, 718-266-0267. The Assembly member would also like to make people aware of her economic mobility plan for the 46th Assembly District. She has a number of initiatives, and she's connecting people with services to assist with home ownership, job training, financial planning, and debt relief. And I will post information in the chat for anyone to follow developments, sign up for notices, etc. In addition, we are having a virtual meet and greet for local nonprofits to assist with any funding requests for the upcoming budget season. So I will share information in the chat on that as well. That is this coming Thursday. So if any local groups would like to avail themselves, participate in the process, we would like to help you get whatever is available to be gotten. So I will share that, and if you have any questions, please reach out. Our Bay Ridge office is still open, appointment only, 310 93rd Street, 347-560-6302. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay, and Happy New Year.
Thanks.
And now Kathy Santo Pietro for Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis. Sorry, that's tongue-tied. Kathy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how is everyone? I do hope everyone is well. The Congresswoman and staff have been very busy with the transition. I'm not going to speak about vaccinations. Everybody knows where we are with that, but I do like everyone to know that if they know any veteran that needs a vaccine, the VA hospital does have vaccines. The veteran needs to be registered. If they're not registered, then they need to go to the eligibility department on the first floor, room 100, and register. And then they can schedule their appointment. Anyone who knows a veteran that is registered right now and would like an appointment, I can leave it in the chat, but I'll also, the number is 877-9267. But they do have vaccines available now. Also, I'd like to mention that the Congresswoman's office is in the same location as the Assembly office was. We're sharing the office with Assemblyman Michael Tanusis. We're located at 7716 3rd Avenue. We're there Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Our office number is 718-306-1620. If you have any need for the Congresswoman or my assistance, please contact us, and I'll leave our contact info along with the VA information in the chat. And thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And now I would like to hear from Hanan Bajat of Assemblyperson Michael Tanusis' office.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome.
Hi, good evening.
Sorry, I'm connected to my Bluetooth in the car. So just wanted to kind of, I guess, reiterate what all the elected officials' offices have said. Definitely our office is open. The Assemblyman wishes you all a Happy New Year. We are situating our office is being shared with the Congresswoman. We have hired staff, but they're in transition right now. So hopefully they'll be in the office as soon as next week. But you can always call on the Staten Island side, whatever we can do to help. We've been taking on a lot of unemployment cases, more so than the vaccine. I mean, people are calling about the vaccine, but unfortunately, we're in a bit of a standstill as far as that situation goes. But, you know, we're trying to help as much as we can. I'll leave our information in the chat. Yeah, so just we're here. So if any questions, please call, email me, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. And now Donald DeRosa from Controller Scott Stringer's office.
Good evening, everyone. I hope the new year is treating everyone slightly better than as it has gone over the past year. I think there is a very dim light at the end of the tunnel, but we still have a lot of work to do collectively, of course. Very quickly, I know vaccinations are on the top of everyone's minds, and we've heard from all of our elected officials locally about this. It is obviously a very difficult situation, and every single level of government plays a role in this, but the federal government really is key here when it comes to this. But we still have a lot of work to do at the city level. The comptroller has really put forward various ways that we think that we can make the process more streamlined, but more importantly, build trust in the process, because we know at the end of the day that we need herd immunity to move to a place of a new normal. And there is mistrust out there right now, and we have a lot of work to do. This culminated with a plan that the comptroller put out just about a week ago called Fair Shot NYC, and some of the main points of it, including releasing all demographic data in real time, assigning more contact tracers to the critical task of promoting vaccine access, ramping up outreach and public education campaigns, and a slew of other things, along with building strategic partnerships with trusted leaders in the community to spread the message. Something else I want to bring to your attention, lastly, that actually we just published this morning after many years of effort, both the comptroller and the mayor, along with the trustees of two of the city's pension funds today announced that they have voted to divest their portfolios from roughly $4 billion worth of fossil fuel investments. This has been a years-long effort that the comptroller has been working on, both collectively with the mayor and as well as the series of pension funds that we advise and oversee. And this divestment of nearly $4 billion would be one of the largest actually divestments in the world. And as I said, this culminated after years of investigation, which found that our pension investments in fossil fuels was actually not a net gain for the system. It was a net loss. And we've seen that if we continue to invest such heavy monies in this form, that we will risk really the pension system. So we have taken a step, and many of the boards have voted, and we expect others to follow suit. And we are excited for this proposal that we have been working on for quite some time, that we frankly think is in the best interest of pensioners in overseeing this $230 billion system. And we want to make investments that are smart, that benefit the pensioners of this city. And as we have concluded based on folks that we brought in, it is the right step to take. So we're excited and ready for that challenge. And of course, I'm here with any questions, comments, and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have Jessica Callow from Borough President Adams' office.
Hello, everyone. I hope
Hi,
you
Jessica.
are
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Lori, and to everyone else, of course. I generally watch from YouTube because I don't want to take up everybody's time with making announcements. So it's so nice to see you all again in the new year. I look forward to when I can see you in person, but as per typical, the usual reminder, reappointment applications are due in February. So make sure you're getting your applications in. Before anyone asks, the rule of that was passed a couple of years ago does not apply to anyone yet. So we don't have to worry about that. No one is being term limited out of their spot. So make sure you get your reappointment applications in. If you're not sure if you need to reapply, I'm sure Dorothy has already let you know. If not, we can let you know. And I can tell you if you're up for reappointment. And the deadline is February 12th. I believe it's supposed to be the 15th, but I think in an effort to get everyone's application in by a Friday instead of a Sunday, they're saying the 12th. So make sure you get them in before that last minute on February 12th or 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have, who do we have next? Nancy Lulu from the Brooklyn DA's office.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. On behalf of DA Gonzalez and staff, I would like to wish everyone a prosperous new year. The District Attorney's office is very active. Just a couple of announcements regarding the DA's office's work at the start of the new year. Back on January 4th, 2021, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced that a 21-year-old man has been indicted for reckless manslaughter and other charges in connection with the death of a 50-year-old father. This horrific crash was no accident. It was a preventable crime that stemmed from reckless behavior before and during the collision. This is the first, sorry, one second, please. My computer's acting up a little bit. This is the first indictment obtained by the new Street Safety Bureau at the Brooklyn DA's office, which was created this summer to better address vehicular violence on our roadway. It will continue to thoroughly investigate and prosecute dangerous drivers when their unlawful actions cause traffic fatalities and injuries. The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office is determined to get justice for victims and to send a message that this conduct will not be tolerated. My second announcement is on January 6, 2021, Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez, together with NYPD Commissioner Dermon Shea, announced that a 15 alleged 900 gang member charged in a 77-count indictment that includes 2 murders and 9 shootings. These indictments reflect our commitment to stem the surge in gun violence that we have experienced since last spring. The Brooklyn DA's office is always committed in keeping our communities safe. And my third announcement, due to the surge of gun violence that we have witnessed in Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez and New York State Attorney General's office are teaming up to host another gun buyback with no questions asked. It will be held this Saturday, January 30th. Drop-off site will be open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Beth Sild Healing Center at 167 East 98th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11217. That's in Brownsville. Along with the gift cards, there will be iPads giving out for portable handguns and operable assault rifles. These iPads are subject to availability, first comes, first based services, and there are different prices. I don't know if you'd like, I could email you the flyer, but briefly, I'll go over the prices offered. Bear with me, sorry. My announcement is a bit long today. So they will, whoever surrenders a gun receives a 250 prepaid card for an assault rifle operable, $150 for an operable handgun, $75 prepaid card for operable shotgun and rifle, and $25 prepaid card for inoperable firearm, BB guns, airsoft, and imitated firearms. If anybody has any questions, I will leave my email and contact information in the chat. But my fourth announcement is that January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and the DA's office, along with other agencies, are having an event. It's a 3-day event, and actually today was the first day, but it ends on the 27th. Attending this event will provide community members with particular steps that they can take to join the fight against trafficking. It's a free event, and anybody could join. The website for that event is www.brooklynda.org/HT Awareness 2021. And finally, I just would like to remind everyone with the Action Center's phone number, if anybody would like to address a matter with our office, please call 718-250-2340, and I could be reached at lulun@brooklynda.org. Thank you so very much, and have a good evening. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, Nancy. And now I have Edward Cerna from the Mayor's office.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Edward Cerna, Brooklyn Borough Director for the Mayor's Office. The 2 points I wanted to touch upon were sort of covered, which was vaccines and the divestment of the city pensions fund from fossil fuels. So the only thing I would add on the vaccine front is that we had an issue at the Brooklyn mega site, which is Brooklyn Army Terminal. As many folks know, there was like a misleading post on Facebook that said that there were walk-in vaccine availables, which created a surge and hundreds of people showing up to the site. So again, the contribution I want to make is that the state guidance is very clear. You need an appointment to receive a vaccine, and there's an eligibility criterion that needs to be met. So please just do your part. And if you see some of these posts across social medias, not to respond to it. And again, the city is calling on state and federal government to open up supply lines. We are going to receive 107,000 more doses in the next couple of weeks, but the city has been hitting, as Councilmember Brennan said, 500,000 folks. So we're nowhere near to the supply that we want to see, so we could reach as many New Yorkers as possible. You can reach me at ecerna@cityhall.nyc.gov. I look forward to working with everyone in this new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward. And now David Nussbaum from the Department of Buildings.
Okay, David, you should be.
Now you muted me.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
we can hear you. Hello.
Happy New Year, everybody. I'm not used to this type of YouTube. Oh wait, can I actually see myself? No, I don't see that, but that's okay. Probably better for all of you. So
well, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Just a reminder, or just to let you know that local law 152, which was this law with regard to inspection of gas piping inside of buildings, generally except for
David, I think you're
I
muted
think we
again.
lost you.
Did we lose you, David?
He just cut out. I don't hear him. Let me see. Is he still on?
He's still on.
You hear me now?
Yeah, there you are. You're
Okay, I
back.
had to do this control thing. Okay. So I don't know where I lost you, but local law 152, which is a requirement to inspect gas piping in buildings other than 1 and 2 family homes. The law was extended to June 2021, and Community Board 10 was one of 3 boards in every borough that was required to do that. So the deadline was fairly recently, but they extended it 6 months. So people still have time to do that. Just an announcement I always make, which is important with regard to carbon monoxide detectors, that people should make sure that they have working, besides of course smoke detectors, but particularly during the heating season, to have carbon monoxide detectors, which are extremely important to avoid the risks that are associated with carbon monoxide. And of course, to maintain their, their boilers, hot water, and any other gas-fired equipment. That's really all I have, unless someone has something for me.
Thank you very much, David.
Can I say one thing, please, Lori?
Sure, go ahead, Iris.
David, I just wanted to mention about the local law 152. I live in the Bay Ridge Towers, and we were informed line by line, the gas has been turned off. I've been told that it would be a minimum of 2 weeks for the inspection period. And if there are any problems, it could be much longer. So the time frame is challenging for people, particularly during the pandemic when we're home. I know I've been supporting our local restaurants with some deliveries, but I just want to share that. I don't know what the expectations are around inspections and the length of time people are without their gas.
Well, that would be up to, do you guys hear me still?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
great. All right, so that would really be up to the plumber, the licensed plumber that you hire, because they're going to be doing the evaluation of the building. So in terms of that, that's something that certainly you might be able to speak to management about in terms of, maybe staggering it. I really don't know, but that would be up to them to figure out a plan, I guess, that would work for people in the building, that to best accommodate them.
Thank you. If I can say, it is being staggered, but my understanding is not only would it be signed off by a licensed plumber, but also a buildings inspector has to check it as well. Is that correct?
It's something that they would file with us. That's what they have to do. That's something that they do the inspection. They file with us. If there are problems, then we may be involved, but generally speaking, that's done by them, a licensed professional.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that information.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that is the end of our public session. I think we got to everyone, and now we move on to the public hearing. And that is in the matter of the adoption and support of the capital and expense priorities for fiscal year 2022. We are at the point of the budget process where we have the opportunity to reaffirm the priorities that were previously submitted by the board. At this point, we cannot change our requests, but we do have the ability to reaffirm our priorities. Board members receive the agency responses we received to our budget priorities email. Capital and expense budget priorities are now just up on the screen with the PowerPoint. Let me slow down. They're not there yet. No pressure, Josephine. None.
That's okay. Here we are.
Okay. It should be looking fairly familiar to us. The board typically adopts a motion to affirm our priorities in a statement to the Office of Management and Budget. Further, we also send our capital and expense priority list and the responses to all elected officials representing Community District 10 to assist in obtaining the funds that we need for these projects. So I would call for a motion that we reaffirm Community Board 10's fiscal year 2022 capital and expense budget priorities. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see who said that.
Dan.
Oh,
Dan.
thank you, Dan. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? I hear nothing, not even crickets. Okay, so I will call the question. All in favor, raise your hand. Keep them up there for Josephine and Dorothy to see a little bit.
It's nice to see everyone. All your hands are raised.
Okay, is anyone opposed?
One thing.
Abstention, Larry?
No, was there expense, is that capital and expense, or is this capital only?
It's capital and expense.
Yeah.
Capital and expense.
Yes.
And was there anything in the buildings department for the expense? I didn't see that.
Yes, there was.
Well, I'll have to excuse
So-
myself from the.
Recusal? Okay, that's
Um,
recusal for Larry.
Yep, I'll recuse myself as well.
Okay.
Richard Day.
Richard, thank you.
I tried to.
One second. I'm sorry. Are there any I'm sorry, we went to opposed, abstentions and recusals, so we just have two, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so our motion carries. Thank you. Okay. 1 second. So that closes our public hearing. And now we move on to the chair's report from me. Okay. Let me get my report. I'll give it to you. I lost it. All right, I have it. Good evening and welcome to Community Board 10's January 25th, 2021 General Board Meeting. With the close of 2020 having been a much anticipated event, we have entered into a new year with greater hope for the future. We have a new president in office, and we have some local politicians from both sides of the aisle who will be participating in our government in Washington. Former Congressman Max Rose was appointed Special Assistant to the United States Secretary of Defense as a COVID advisor, and Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis was appointed Assistant Whip for the Republican Conference. COVID vaccines are being administered and will hopefully enable us to make great strides toward recovery from the many injuries caused by this pandemic. This month, board chairs and district managers were invited to attend COVID vaccine updates from the New York City Department of Health. As we've heard from so many, and it's no surprise that the major hurdle has been the obtaining of the number of doses needed to implement the city's vaccine administration plan. We were told that they expect that the average person who does not work in a high-risk field or have an underlying condition will not be eligible to get the vaccine until approximately June. In addition, it was relayed by Dr. Celia Quinn of the CDC that while the vaccine will prevent severe cases, there is not enough proof that it prevents lesser or asymptomatic cases or spread to others. So those vaccinated will still be able to catch, carry, and spread COVID. So even if you are among those who have received your vaccine, you still need to wear a mask and distance yourself from others, as you may still carry the virus and infect others. But nonetheless, this progress is a ray of light in this new year and gives the promise of a true beginning of recovery. Yet, before we are able to turn the corner on recovery, we must still deal with the city's financial difficulties. As you may know, community boards were asked by the city to cut their already minuscule budgets, and our executive committee met to discuss this. Due to the great work of our district office, we were able to comply with this mandate without having to overly compromise our functioning. I do understand that this crisis has caused financial strain on the city, and we all have to do our part, but I'm hard pressed to believe that there are no other less impactful areas from which to cut. We are the branch of government that most effectively and directively interfaces with the community and delivers its message to city government. And you'll see one example of this tonight when we discuss the new zoning text amendment. We're not pushing an agenda, but rather we're your voice. We're the voice of the city's constituents. We are truly the boots on the ground because we are the ones who speak with our neighbors face to face and have to look them in the eye when they suffer the effects of decisions made from higher up. Community boards were created to bridge the disconnect between City Hall and the far-flung districts of the city. Yet over the past year, boards have been cut out of many decisions that significantly and materially affect our communities, decisions of the kind that would ordinarily be put to community review. These budget cuts will work to further undercut our role and quiet our voice. The board has 2 full-time and 1 part-time employees to do all the work to enable the board to meet its mandates under the charter of the City of New York. This includes the coordination and timely delivery of public notice and outreach, coordination of board and committee meetings, meetings with elected officials, coordination with agencies that deliver services to our area, fielding and responding to the myriad calls and correspondence from the public, and so much more. We have not had an increase to our baseline budget in about 10 years, and further cuts will mean that the city government will hear less of what you have to say. They should not defund democracy. I think it's more important than ever that those at the top hear what we have to say. I would like to thank Councilman Brannan for writing to the mayor to emphasize the importance of the work of the community boards and to urge against these cuts. I understand that other council members have also written similar letters, and I hope that Councilman Brannan and his colleagues on the city council are able to intervene to allow us to continue to serve our vital role in city government. I also want to thank our board and our staff for steadfastly working through these crazy times to promote the betterment of our community and for their selfless level of commitment. I particularly want to thank our former fellow, Anish Pandahar, who has donated his knowledge, his time, and his effort putting together a zoning handbook for the board. He gave us a preview of his work this month, and it was terrific. And as further evidence of his dedication, I have to note that his presentation was via Zoom from halfway around the world at an ungodly hour. So I commend him for that, and I thank him. Zoning is a difficult and convoluted topic, and he did a great job in giving us a précis of the zoning text relevant to the matters that come before the board. So once this is available, we will get it out to you, and I highly suggest that you cuddle up with this great read. It's not just for zoning fans, it's for everyone. As always, I thank you for attending this meeting, and I hope that you remain safe and well. Respectfully submitted, Lori Willis. Now we move on to the district manager's report. Josephine?
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, board members, and Happy New Year. I want to begin my report, as I have done in the past few years, with a quick update on Diker Lights. It's hard to believe that it's been a few weeks since the end of the holiday season, and we really truly did not know what to expect this year due to the pandemic. There was a significant increase in vehicular traffic, and we did hear from many residents and many board members who live in the area. Thanks to direct involvement from Councilmember Brannan, we had 6 traffic agents assigned to help with traffic, which overwhelmed the Diker Heights community. I want to thank also the mayor's office, who fielded lots of calls from the district office, and appreciation to the 68th precinct for their work. Today, we were inundated with calls from residents living on Wakeman Place who woke up to no parking signs posted on their block from 3rd Avenue to Ridge Boulevard. This work is related to the Owl's Head Greenway connector, and parking restrictions is needed to help with the installation of new sewer mains. The project is expected to last 5 weeks. The concerns that we heard from the office centered on a lack of notice and many seniors who rely on curbside delivery during the pandemic. So I will be speaking to DDC's community liaison tomorrow regarding the project in response to community concerns raised at the district office today. Filming has also resumed in New York City to a small degree. Changes have been made by the Office of Film, Theater, and Broadcasting and COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines. Much smaller productions, limited parking restrictions, and community impacts. On Wednesday, January 27th, the commercial will be filmed in District 10 for CK Orange second unit, which is expected to film on 86th Street between Ridge Boulevard and Colonial Row. Colonial Road. So each year, I also review the end of year top 10 service requests to 311 as we begin to prepare the upcoming fiscal year needs assessment. So just as we finish one, we already begin our next year. And thanks to Beta NYC's board stat, the top 10 service requests from 2020 as compared to 2019 varied mostly due to pandemic and the large storm that we had in 2020. Residential noise complaints were up. 2019, we had a total of 1,600 and 2020 saw an increase to 2,500. 311 service requests. In 2019, damaged tree complaints were 1,600 as compared to 2,500 in 2020. Illegal parking remains our #1 service request, although down from 2019, 5,500 versus in 2019 versus 4,800 in 2020. And mixed sanitation collection of all materials made it to our top 10 list in 2020 with 800 service requests versus 605 in 2019. The new category of failure to comply with COVID phase restriction category made it to our top 10 list with 1,100 service requests in Community District 10. Our Senior Issues Committee met this month with a really informative panel on the COVID-19 vaccine distribution. If you haven't had the opportunity to view it on YouTube, please do. It was really full of great information, and a special thanks to Chair Iris Muley, who will be reporting on it later in this meeting. We continue to hear from seniors in the district frustrated with the current process, and our office has been working diligently to assist those seniors. A reminder that in the month of February, the Senior Issues Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee will be meeting to review a report from the Department for the Aging, a Profile for Older New Yorkers report, which provides a needs assessment survey of current capacity of average daily senior center participants, and notes that our district, CD10, will have a projected great need by 2030. And this was voted upon earlier to really advocate for additional senior day center, senior citizen capacity, because we will be growing by 2030. Tomorrow night, the Traffic and Transportation Committee and Environmental Committee will host a joint meeting to listen to a presentation by the Narrows Botanic Gardens regarding a native planting initiative proposal adjacent to the NBG and the Belt Parkway. This was a capital priority request supported by the board, so anyone interested in viewing the proposal should log on or view on YouTube. In addition, TNC will also be briefed on city bike docking stations to be installed in the northern portion of Community Board 10. I just want to close with a quick agency announcement from the Department of Homeless Services. As many of you know, each year during the month of January, DHS hosts its annual homeless outreach population estimate. And during this time, teams of volunteers canvass select areas of the city to count the number of individuals sleeping on the street and in other public spaces. But due to COVID-19 pandemic, Hope 2021 will not be using volunteers this year. It will be conducted by city staff and outreach teams. So please, DHS is asking us to continue to call 311 if you see a homeless person in need. Homeless outreach staff will arrive within 2 hours of a call to reach out to offer assistance. And our next CB10 meeting will be right here on Zoom on Monday, February 22nd. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Josephine. And now on to our treasurer's report with Shirley Chin.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Community Board 10 Treasurer's Report as of December 31st, 2020. The total personal services is $114,422.62. Total other than personal services is $5,722.90, leaving an unencumbered budget balance of $133,649.48. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. And now we're on to our committee reports, first being with Police and Public Safety with Barbara Vellucci. Barbara?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? I keep on getting thrown
Yes.
off. So,
Gotcha.
okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I was thrown off twice. I thought it was you. I guess it wasn't. So
Was it
here we
me?
are. I thought it was you and I was waiting. Okay. So we had our meeting of the police and public safety via Zoom on January 11th at 7 p.m. We were in quorum doing business as come on time. The premise address is 7803 3rd Avenue. This is a new application.
Yeah, Barbara, I think you're
Barbara, I'm
having.
having a hard time hearing you.
for a
You're breaking up.
restaurant named Contact, someone who
Hope she
is
can hear
helping him through
I
the
can read it.
application process. His name
Barbara?
is Mr. James Lamb. I'm mute again, you think? Can you hear me?
No.
No, we can't. You're breaking up, Barbara.
You know what? I could read the report if you'd
No.
like, Lori.
That's absolutely fine.
Okay,
You have
yeah,
it.
go
I
ahead,
don't
please,
know what's
Josephine.
happening.
Okay, sorry, Barbara.
Me too. It's never happened before. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to render Barbara's report. This is a new application for a restaurant named Come On Thai located at 7803 3rd Avenue. The owner, Korn Petchapaisan, was present at this meeting. Also present with the owner was Mr. James Lamb. The applicant is in the process of applying for a letter of no objection, which in probability will be granted as the premise was already a restaurant known as Mai Tai. The questionnaire was complete, the menu, premise photos, and the floor plan was provided. There will only be background music and no outdoor use. After a discussion, the committee's decision was to deny the application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. 1, the premise will operate as a restaurant. 2, there will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premise until appropriate authorization is issued by the state liquor authority. 3, the hours of operation will be Sunday through Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. The doors and windows are to remain closed in coordination with any amplified music. There will only be background recorded music. The sound level will remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. There will be no music on the outside of the premise, and there will be no use of outdoor space. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking permitted. The applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the Community Board Committee, Public Safety Committee, at least 45 days in advance of any such change. The applicant has agreed to the above stipulations. Committee was all in favor.
Okay, does the report note whether they met in quorum, Joe?
Yes, we did.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so they met in quorum, the motion's on the floor. Do we have any discussion? We have any hands up? I see none.
Nope, I see no hands raised.
No? Okay, so then we'll call the question. All in favor? Raise a physical hand. Tell me when you're okay.
Yep, I see everyone's hand raised.
Okay, any opposed? Please raise your hand.
Okay.
Any abstentions or recusals?
Nope.
No? Okay, for those of you dialing in, if you want, when we're voting, you can just, shout it out so we get you down, but I think the motion carries. Thank you very much, Barbara and Josephine on backup. Okay, and now we have Traffic and Transportation Committee report. Where is my Jean?
Jane.
Just trying to unmute. Thank you. All right.
Hi, Happy New Year.
Hi, dear. So thank you all. The membership of the Traffic and Transportation Committee met in quorum via Zoom on Monday, January 5th at 7 p.m. DOT representatives presented a safety improvement proposal for Marine Avenue and Ridge Boulevard at 95th Street. This project has been requested by City Council member Justin Brannan, along with multiple community requests to provide improvements at this intersection. While these are residential streets, they are the corridor to 3rd Avenue and are in close proximity to Shore Road Park and the Parkway. Safety data from 2014 to 2018 indicates that it was the site of 5 injuries, including 1 severe bicycle injury and 1 severe motor vehicle injury. Currently, there are long crossing distances and lack of marked crosswalks on south and east sides of the intersections. Pedestrians accessing destinations on the south and east sides of the intersection must cross without marked crosswalks. The area was described as a confusing intersection layout that creates unpredictable turning movements. DOT is proposing to add 3 new crosswalks to provide a marked crossing for pedestrians on the south and east sides of the intersection, as you can see by the Josephine screen. They will add 2 painted curb extensions to normalize the intersection and shorten crossing distances. They will install flexible bollards at painted curb extensions to provide a vertical element to delineate the space for pedestrians and discourage vehicles from using the space. They will add no standing anytime space to the northeast curb line of Ridge Boulevard to accommodate emergency vehicle access. To gain these benefits, a right turn ban for trucks only from northbound Marine Avenue to eastbound 95th Street is required. DOT says that the benefits of this proposed design will provide pedestrian accessing the east and south sides of the intersection. The curb extensions will normalize the intersection, creating safer, shorter crossings and slow turns for vehicles. The proposal will also simplify the intersection for all users and create more predictable turning movements. Committee members discussed the issue and voted, and we have a motion to support the Marine Avenue Safety Improvement Plan and send a letter to the New York City Department of Transportation with the following feedback from our discussion. Number 1, enhanced street lighting at this location is needed. Request for DOT to study the area for additional street lighting. Number 2, request a feasibility study for a traffic light. Although it was noted by DOT that the intersection did not meet the threshold to warrant a traffic light, we can request a new feasibility study at this location. Number 3, request granite blocks be used to fill the curb extensions to discourage the misuse of the area for illegal parking. This would be in lieu of the plastic bollards. Number 4, share concerns raised that the pedestrian ramps on 95th Street in the former unmarked crosswalk area. Recommendation to remove or block the pedestrian ramps to dissuade people from crossing at an unmarked crosswalk. Number 5, to request to monitor the new no standing zones for daytime and overnight vehicle parking. We also received a request from a resident following our meeting, requesting that DOT review the painted bike lane along Ridge Boulevard that crosses Marine Avenue, heading toward Shore Road, to make sure the redesign does not impact it in any way. The committee met in quorum and all were in favor of the DOT's plan and would include our feedback in our letter to them. This project is slated for summer 2021. Do we have any questions or discussion? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Larry.
No, I remember I brought up, you mentioned the filling in of the 95th Street crosswalk. I mean, it's almost an invitation. We're not gonna have a painted crosswalk there. Yet there's a ramp there from the sidewalk. And it was very important that they fill in that ramp that was put in there when it was a regular crosswalk.
Thank you. And we did include that in the recommendation.
Very important. It's almost an invitation for people to start across the street where they're not supposed to.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments
I have
or
a
discussion?
question.
Doris, go ahead.
Okay, I asked the question and at the meeting and I did not get a satisfactory answer. How will they clear those areas from snow? There's no way a plow can fit in there.
They had said that it was wide enough for street cleaning to continue and for street cleaning and snow removal. This was what I believe it was Chris Brunson from
Yes.
DOT had said to us at the meeting.
Well, I still don't see how a plow can fit in there. I just want to get that on the record. And I do not want the local homeowners to be penalized for any issue there.
Right.
Okay, Barbara, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, I live on that corner, and every few years they put in bollards. They last a few months, down they go. Now they're putting on more bollards, and in a few months they'll be gone again. So I'm kind of pessimistic about all of this, but let's give it a shot.
Right, and that was why there was, I believe it was Michael from our committee had made the recommendation or had brought it up in our discussion to instead of using the plastic bollards, that we would ask instead for it to be the granite or concrete. I'm sorry, I'm going back to my report for just 1 minute.
I think he said the granite blocks.
Right.
Jean Marie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but let me say, there've been granite blocks up there before. They haven't lasted. So you could put bollards, you could put granite, you could put stone. They're not going to last. But go ahead.
We were trying to make it, the intention was to realize that the plastic bollards get knocked down very, very easily and to try and make it more secure for the residents that are there by making it the granite blocks. So we do hear
To try, yes.
Yeah, we wanted to try.
Right, and let me also add, and in the evening after midnight, that intersection is the site for donuts. So let's see what happens now.
Okay, do we have any more comments or questions? Yes, Diane.
So my question is, I know that there was a concern about the fact that they said that they would try to do something to avoid the cars parking there in that area, but the area would be still large enough for the snow removal equipment to get in there. So if it's large enough for the snow equipment removal equipment to get in there, what's to say that the cars are not going to be getting in there to park?
Free parking, like a monopoly.
Right, so
Okay, do we
I
have
do
any other questions or comments? I don't see any hands up. I'm sorry, Joe, were you responding to that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
ahead.
just wanted to note that board members are correct. I mean, that was a concern that was raised by the committee about those striped areas, those no standing areas. And I think DOT has ways to dissuade illegal parking, but that is really going to have to be really reviewed, because we do agree. And while enforcement is a tool, it's difficult to get enforcement, 24/7. So included in that recommendation, we'll word it pretty strongly that we need to dissuade parking in the zebra stripe areas as well as the curb extension.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any other questions or comments?
Wasn't there a discussion about
I'm sorry, Larry, was that you?
Larry, you're on mute.
The trees, putting trees there or planters with foliage.
I believe they had responded to us that they don't put the planters with foliage unless they could have a partnership for who would take care of it. So because this is a residential area, they were not including that as one of the options. So that's where, again, to make it sturdier, more secure than the bollards, they were looking to the blocks instead.
Yes. Okay, any other questions or comments? Julie?
Yeah, regarding the traffic light, if there's going to be a traffic light, I was wondering where they're going to put it. And
Not going
is
to
it
be a
going
traffic.
to, excuse me?
Well,
Is it going to be a 4-way or a 5-way? I don't remember the diagram, traffic light.
Oh, there's no traffic light.
Right.
Jane,
So
Jane, would you
there's-
like to? Yeah.
Right. So there's no traffic light at this time. It did not meet the thresholds. The what DOT came back with is that once they make these improvements to the area, that it did not meet the threshold. Let me just rephrase. It didn't meet the thresholds, which was the volume of traffic that comes through that spot. And so once the changes are made, they could redo the feasibility study again to see that if now it warrants it. And so that was the best we could do as far as the traffic light, the traffic signaling to be looked at.
Okay, do we have any other questions, comments? I do not see anyone. Okay, so we will be calling the question. I'm sorry? Did I miss somebody?
no, I don't see anyone.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought I heard someone chiming up. Okay, so all in favor, raise a hand.
In favor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Any, Joe, are you ready?
I'm ready. I got
Okay,
everyone.
any opposed?
I don't see any
Is
of
Barbara
I
them.
don't see any.
Barbara, I'm sorry. Is Barbara, you had your hand raised for a long
Yes,
period.
I'm in favor.
You're in favor.
You're
Okay,
in
thank
favor.
you.
Okay, thank you. Any abstentions or recusals? None. Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you.
And we are now on to our Zoning and Land Use Committee report with Doris.
The Zoning and Land Use Committee met in quorum via Zoom on Thursday, January 21st.
Amended.
I think someone's speaking. They have to put themselves on mute. I'm sorry, because I can't hear Doris.
Right. Well, I just said we met in quorum. The first item on the agenda was a review of the Community Board 10 Zoning 101 Guidebook. Anish Pendharkar, a Columbia University graduate student who is a Community Board 10 fellow and who worked on zoning, it was compiled by him. After the completion of his fellowship, he kept in contact with the board and told us that he was interested in working on a simplified zoning guide tailored to Community Board 10. The official zoning handbook can be quite daunting. A simplified handbook highlighting Community Board 10 zoning issues is very helpful. The committee was sent a copy of the guide in advance of the meeting, and Anish did a presentation for the committee. As you know, the Zoning and Land Use Committee is a very detailed and demanding group. Anish's guide was met with enthusiastic support. We need to work with Anish to make some modifications, but the committee was grateful for his work. It was suggested that the simplified guide be mandatory reading for all community board members and that it be available for members of the community in any discussion of zoning issues. It offers a clear understanding of zoning and will allow anyone interested to be more comfortable with zoning issues, terms, and timetables. After tonight's presentation, Josephine will do a quick presentation. and some modification to the guide. We will discuss this further at another time. Okay. Josephine? Oh, we're doing, you're not doing Kanish?
No, I just showed some slides, Doris.
Oh,
about
okay,
the-
okay, that's fine. So we are going to review it more. If you'd like a copy of his report, please let Josephine know, and we will be discussing it further. But it was a very, very impressive report. The second item on the agenda was the Department of City Planning Hotel Text Amendment 21 DCP 111Y. Currently zoning transient house, currently hotels. Transient housing is an as of right use in commercial districts. A hotel was proposed for at 9115 Fifth Avenue. There was opposition to the hotel, and as a result, CB10 approved a rezoning of the area. As Councilman Brannon said, and the board agreed, CB10 has many needs, but a need for hotel rooms is not one of them. In June of 2018, Community Board 10 voted to approve an application to create a special permit for hotel motel applications in M1 manufacturing districts. At that time, the city was concerned that areas in M1 zones were being lost to hotels, and there was a need to preserve much needed manufacturing areas. When CB10 voted to support the special permit in M1 zones, they added that the Department of City Planning broadened the scope of the special permit so it is not limited to M1 areas, but is truly citywide and covers all manufacturing and commercial districts where hotels and motels can be built as of right. During those discussions in 2018, there were concerns that if it became more difficult, more expensive to build hotels in M1 districts, there would be a push to site hotels in commercial areas. This has proven true, and there has been a citywide concern about the siting of hotels in commercial zones that are large residential areas. Thus, the City Planning Department has proposed a citywide zoning text amendment to require hotels in commercial districts, like commercial districts in CB10, to require a special permit. A special permit requires a land use process that requires community input. During the committee's discussion, it was stated that a special permit would allow community review of the bulk and size of the project, the environmental impact of the project, and impact on transportation and street use. There was a concern that this would disallow hotels in these districts. It would not disallow hotels, only subject the process to community review. Two zoning districts, C3 and C7, are not included in the proposed amendment. These zones are commercial waterfront areas and amusement park areas. CB10 has none of those. The committee agreed that we should formally comment on the proposed amendment, although we were only in the comment period, and to cite our 2018 comments. The committee voted to have District Manager Beckman write a motion to support the text amendment and to include the 2018 comments. The motion was approved and seconded. Thank you, Josephine. You know that the Zoning and Land Use Committee does not defer to others, but it was thought that you could prepare the most comprehensive motion. The meeting was adjourned at 7:48 p.m. Might have been the shortest zoning meeting on record, respectfully submitted. Before we go to the vote, and Josephine's recommendation, I would just like to follow up. On Friday, January 22nd, the Department of City Planning held a public scoping meeting on the draft environmental impact of the zoning text amendment. I attended the meeting but did not speak. Several elected officials spoke, council members and assembly members, including our councilman Justin Brennan, spoke. All spoke in support of the amendment. Members of the public, residents like us, also spoke. They were from all 5 boroughs. They discussed the negative impact hotels have had on their communities, from Williamsbridge in the Bronx, Inwood in Manhattan, Kew Gardens in Long Island City and Queens, Sunset Park and Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn, and parts of Staten Island. One thing that surprised me was the use of these hotels for human trafficking. The drug use and other crimes were quite familiar to me, but the use of hotels anywhere, but particularly in mostly residential communities, was extremely disturbing. It was also noted by these residents that the commercial uses around these hotels supporting hotel guests are not the commercial uses that residents need. Those opposed to the amendments were mostly representatives of the real estate and hospitality industries. They're concerned that it would make siting hotels more costly and more time consuming, and that New York will need many more hotels to support tourism to recover from the impact of the COVID pandemic. None of them discuss the impact of hotels in the outer boroughs or the usage of the many hotels in the outer boroughs. One speaker from the downtown Brooklyn Partnership spoke of the need for hotels in that area to support businesses and colleges in the area. She proposed that area be exempt from the text amendment, and I thought that was an interesting proposal. I could go on, but I've added a little bit more. I did a smidge of research, and I saw that in the summer of 2020, local news outlets reported that there are approximately 700 hotels in New York City. 139 of them, or almost 20%, are used as homeless shelters. And I think that needs to be considered. And the executive assistants for Councilmember Powers in Manhattan, representing Midtown and the East Side, said that in their recent rezoning, it includes the ability to, it includes a special permit for hotels, and it has worked very effectively in their community. And many of those in support of the text amendment, approving the use of a special permit, were concerned about the lack of affordable housing, and that the development of hotels could reduce the use of affordable housing communities throughout the city. Respectfully submitted. And now Josephine's motion.
Well, the motion kind of summarized what the committee discussion was to support comments to the Department of City Planning's public scoping meeting in support of creating an expanded hotel text amendment 21 DCP 111Y, which would require a special permit for hotels and commercial districts citywide. Comments provided to DCP will include Community Board 10's prior recommendation submitted on June 26, 2018 for N18349ZRW, the M1 Hotel Text Amendment. Board members at that time supported extending the special permit beyond the M1 to include commercial districts, as community input is vital when new hotel projects are proposed.
So we now have a motion on the floor.
Lori?
No, we have a motion to, normally it comes from the committee. So what do we do procedurally here?
Yeah, Lori's on mute.
Oh.
Lori, you're on mute. I know you're speaking, but you're on mute.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Comments or discussion? I'm talking to myself here.
I know.
Do we have any questions, comments, or discussion? Let me see. Any hands up? Anybody?
I don't see.
No, we're all tired and it's getting late, and we already voted on this in 2018. We still feel the same. So, okay, I'm going to then call the question. All in favor?
I'm not sure we have a second, because the committee voted to have Josephine make a motion, and we supported that. So procedurally, are we okay?
If the committee met in quorum, then the motion's on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. So all in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Joe, let me see.
Okay.
We're good?
Everyone. Yes.
Okay. Any opposed? I don't have anyone. If I'm wrong, someone give a shout out.
I'm
Okay,
looking
any
at- I don't-
abstentions, recusals?
One recusal, Larry Stelter.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, and the motion carries. Thank you very much, Doris. And now we have our Communications and Public Relations Committee report from Tracy. Jana, hello? You have your hand up? No,
Oh, okay.
apologize. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Happy 2021. The Communications and Public Relations Committee meeting met at 7 o'clock on January 2nd, 2021 via Zoom, and we did meet in quorum. The topic was to review the current Community Board 10 social media and newsletter. It's been even more important to meet the district's community needs and the broader public in the last year, especially during COVID. The newsletter is after about a year since the initial launch of the newsletter, through constant contact, the distribution list is up to almost 2,000 subscribers, which is excellent. There has been very positive feedback, especially from the senior community, as they're not always on social media and are grateful for the updates provided by the newsletter. So constant contact provides a few little data pieces. The open rate, which is the amount or the percentage that's opened by the recipient, is about 50%. And the click rate, when someone clicks within the newsletter, is about 64%, which are very good stats. Social media, well, there's links in the newsletter to both Facebook and Instagram. It's been a bit of a struggle to build up followers. I'd like to remind the board members to help get the word out by encouraging their contacts to like the Facebook and Instagram pages. It's at Community Board 10 BK. And the targeted direct mail public notifications also now include information that includes encourages individuals to contact the office, to be added to the newsletter distribution list, and to like the social media pages. We're very excited to announce that the new CB10 website through the city, it's is WordPress based rather than template based like the previous format. And the district office worked very hard over the summer on this, and it was launched last week. We did discuss future topics for communications committee and the possibility of adding more community interest content to the newsletter, in addition to the informational content, and then updates on all the good works that the other community board committees are doing. And then trying to cross-post local government posts on social media as well. The meeting was adjourned at 7:40, respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much, Tracy. And now we move on to our Senior Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare report with Iris Muley.
Thank you, Lori. The Senior Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee meeting was on January 14th. The Zoom meeting was convened at 7:07 p.m. and it live streamed on YouTube. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. The meeting was very well attended and informative. There were presentations by representatives of NYU Langone Brooklyn Vaccine Center and the NYC Health and Hospitals Corporation Test and Trace Corps. They provided a lot of information about COVID-19 vaccines and distribution, which was followed by valuable discussion and shared experiences from those in attendance. And I think it's an indicator that we've talked a lot tonight about the vaccine and the unavailability. So that was really a huge focus of what we talked about and the very spirited discussion. So there were two presentations. Dr. Lalitha Parameswaran, she's from Brooklyn. She is Brooklyn Hospital epidemiologist, a clinical professor of infectious diseases, and co-leader of the center. She and Akeem Moore, he's a clinical research operations manager, spoke. So the doctor's presentation included this stage of the COVID-19 pandemic, an overview of virus transmission, symptoms, vulnerable groups and disparities, how the vaccines work and their benefits. And she provided a helpful number for assistance when scheduling vaccines. That number is 1-877-VAX, V-A-X, 4, the number 4, NYC. So 1-877-VAX, 4, NYC. And this was particularly because there were a lot of complaints about how someone would have to go fully through the process to only find out that there were no availabilities at a particular site, and then really had to start the process over again. So it was said that if you did call this number, they in fact would be looking through for you to find a site that would be somewhat close to where you lived. So just a little bit about this center. This is the NYU Grossman School of Medicine. It's at their Langone site in Sunset Park. It's the Brooklyn Vaccine Center was established for education and research, including a resource for the community, the COVID vaccine and other trials. So a big part, they're very interested in registering participants in upcoming trials. They're particularly interested in people with underlying conditions whose employment puts them at greater risk for contracting the virus. There are 4 sites of this center, and as I said, one is in Sunset Park, across the street from the medical center, in the old Augustana building. The other presentation was given by Anna Schatz. She and Teresa Doherty, Deputy Director of the Test and Trace Outreach Campaign for the New York City Department of Health. They spoke at length. Anna's presentation included cases and positivity rates, outreach efforts in Brooklyn, which include health and safety education, PPE distribution, a focus on equitable distribution of the vaccine, working with community partners, and she acknowledged that there was less vaccines available than are needed for eligible members of the community. This meeting was just after both groups for over 75 and then over 65. So the timing was really when there was a huge push, people trying to get the vaccines and very quickly not finding that they really did not have access. They are working with Department for the Aging and elected officials to identify sites and meet the needs of community residents, particularly those over 65. Many examples were shared by our board members, by community residents, also from the Bay Ridge Center. Marianne Nicolosi, Todd Fleetner, and David Dring all spoke about the great frustration and significant difficulty people, particularly over those 65 plus, are having negotiating this online system to make an appointment to get vaccinated, and the significant amount of assistance people need, particularly because they're having to go from location, online, first of all, which a lot of older adults have some difficulty negotiating, but then also real intensive assistance by those not only family caregivers, but programs such as the Bay Ridge Center in having to, assist individuals in negotiating this very difficult process. Councilman Brannan and representatives from local elected officials were all in attendance. The councilman addressed the issues raised And as he did tonight, he stressed that the vaccine eligibility does not equal availability. He is advocating for increased distribution within the community. Local sites are identified and will open when more vaccines become available. That's pretty much the meeting adjourned at 8:36. Respectfully submitted.
Laura, you're on mute again.
Thank you, Iris. Okay, that concludes our committee reports. And is there any old business or matters that were put aside? I do not see anyone raising a hand. Any new business?
Judy.
Yes, Judy.
So many people have asked, so I thought I'd tell you that tonight Joanne Seminara came home from the hospital.
Oh,
Yeah.
very glad to hear. Thank you. That's good news, new business. Okay, any other new business? Okay, I don't see any, but right before oh, Larry, was that a hand up? No.
Carmen has her hand up.
Okay, Carmen, go ahead.
Carmen, you're on mute.
Oh,
Go ahead.
let me.
Carmen, you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can you keep, let's keep Sandy Vallis's family in prayer and in thought. Because anyone who loses a loved one during this time, all the circumstances, just for a regular wake or just to be together is very difficult.
Yes, thank you, Carmen. We certainly will. Larry, you have to unmute yourself. Larry, you're on mute.
Better
Go
now?
ahead. Yes,
No,
go
I
ahead.
stopped at the office this evening with, I spoke with Dorothy about the, who smashed the window at the post office a few weeks ago. On Fifth Avenue, the post office, the windows were all smashed.
Joe, do we have any update?
Dorothy,
So what I do know is that the incident was reported, an act of vandalism. We did hear from the post office that the windows were immediately boarded and police were notified. But we are not aware of any enforcement action or who the perpetrators were or the reason for it.
Okay, very briefly, this may be old business or new business, but I almost got plowed down by a delivery motorized cycle going down the sidewalk by my house. So we do need more enforcement of that. It's not okay to ride a motorized vehicle on the sidewalk.
Laura, add that to my list. Just to,
and Larry's got that too. Okay, anyone else? All right, now just before we make our motion to adjourn, I do want to remind everyone that we will be going to closed session after we go off of YouTube. So we have executive session. So we will close on YouTube, but please do not sign off for the board